Boom? Last time there was no boom, so hopefully there's boom this time. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone's having a great day. I hope, or at least a tolerable day. I mean, it's a Thursday. It's, but yeah, this case is hiccup crazy town. And so the funniest thing was a lawyer asking, hey, does anyone, and this was a Toronto lawyer, hey, does anyone know why this lawyer is in custody? And as it turns out, there is a very good reason why they're in custody. And yeah, we're going to go over it. So we're going to be going over all sorts of things. And, we're going to be talking about lawyers behaving badly. We're going to be talking about organized crime. We're going to be talking about a $15 million reward. I would not recommend going after the $15 million reward. It's going to be kind of risky. I think that I think there's a very real chance that gets you, kind of, so yeah, it's it's the kind of thing maybe you want to like have a small army there. This is an interesting question. I don't know the context on this one, but I just got a question here that says any short words about cocks. Hopefully yours doesn't take short words. I'm not sure on the context there, but yeah, the I just thought that was funny. All right. So yeah, we're gonna have a look at this one, and I don't think it's one that anyone else has picked up on at this stage, but I think it's gonna be potentially an interesting one. I think that this might be one of those ones that like everyone starts following later. So let's get on it early and we can talk about it. So all right. So this is the case of United States versus Wedding. Ryan James Wedding. Now, interestingly, Ryan James Wedding was famous before this. He was a snowboarder. Like he went to he was a snowboarder, and so somehow he went from like Olympic snowboarder to like organized crime boss. And it's very, very odd. He is supposedly somewhere in Mexico now, and the US government would very much like to know where. So yeah. But you can see the list of his aliases. Yeah, he went from one kind of snow to another kind of snow. So Ryan James Wedding, aka James Conrad King, aka Jesse King, aka Jesse, aka J, aka R137, PE, Pi 3.14, El Coco, RW, JJ, Jesse New, Jess Old, Mexi, El Guerro, El Jefe, El Toro, Boss, Buddy, Giant, Grande, Public Enemy, NPKY8WY7, and some other similar things that might be license plates. I don't know. So yeah. And then the next person is Deepak Balwant Paradkar, who is the person who is on the thumbnail, aka Cocaine Lawyer. Your career is gonna be on the trajectory towards mountain when you combine cocaine and lawyer. But yeah, cocaine lawyer is a hell of a is a hell of a tagline. AKA Depage Emergency, AKA Descartes. Okay, I will actually go by Descartes being kind of a cool like criminal nickname. I'll give him that. AKA some weird letter number codes, and AKA criminallawyer@me.com. And then Atna Ona, aka Tupac Kim Jong-un, different spelling of Kim Jong-un. Carmen Yelenet Valoyes Flores, aka I'm not saying that. I'm just not. Wilson Riascos, aka Pepe. Roland Sokolovsky, aka the Jew, aka Sushi, Apple Pie, Lakers 2, Fiji 2, some more codes, and Dean1313 at live.ca. Rashid Pascua Hossein, also known as Sheed, JP Morgan, and JP. Bianca Canastillo Madrid, aka her entire fucking name, aka Bianca Madrid, aka Katie, aka Claudio, aka Cloudy, old, new as candy. Okay, that's interesting. Alistair Chapman, aka Smiling Sun Emoji, aka Lightning Bolt, aka Ali Star, and some codes. Tommy Zamorizi, Ahmad Nabil Zitoun, aka his entire name except with an A in the last name, aka Ahmad Zaitoun, aka Active's cousin, and aka Why Not Bro. And I got to set a goal. So goal is Runkle needs a drink for this crap. that is the that is where we're at there. Okay. Gursawak Singh Ball, aka the Dirty News with a Z, and 6X KTV, and Edwin Basora Hernandez, aka Edwin Hernandez, Ed Winter, and Yuliath Catherine Tejeda, aka Anna Kata 1992. Okay, so I suppose if I was being indicted, it would be Ian Runkle, aka Runkle, aka Runkle of the Bailey, aka the Elf. I don't know. So the grand jury charges, at times relevant to this indictment, and now we're getting into the introductory allegations. The defendants, Ryan James Wedding, also known as All the Things. So the defendants, we're going to skip past all the AKAs because we just did that. And others known and unknown to the grand jury were leaders, members, and associates of a transnational criminal organization, the Wedding Criminal Enterprise, that engaged in, among other things, murder, witness tampering, witness retaliation, the laundering of monetary instruments, and drug trafficking. So, just a few minor things. On or about November 30th, 2009, defendant Wedding was convicted of conspiracy to distribute cocaine in violation of Title 21 United States Code in the United States District Court for the Southern District of California. No later than on or about December 7th, when he was released from the United States prison, defendant Wedding founded the Wedding Criminal Enterprise. It makes it sound like he's getting married, the Wedding Criminal Enterprise, but yeah. On or about October 17th, the United States Attorney's Office for the Central District of California announced the unsealing of a first superseding indictment against defendant Wedding, his second-in-command Andrew Clark, and other co-conspirators, including but not limited to Nahim Jorge Bonilla, Rakim Ibragimov, Andres Felipe Puseta Iriarte, and Juan Manuel Quirez Jimenez, charging them with I'm probably mangling the names, but we're trying. Charging them with assorted drug trafficking related offenses. A photograph of defendant wedding is provided below. He doesn't look super dangerous. He looks kind of like he looks kind of like some random putz, but I mean, I guess nice watch. So, the Wedding Criminal Enterprise, a billion-dollar drug trafficking organization and the largest supplier of cocaine to Canada, operated in Mexico, Colombia, Canada, and the United States, among other countries. How do you get into this? Like, how do you get into being a cocaine kingpin? Because, like, he started out doing snowboarding. So, what is that job trajectory? Like, do you study that in university? I didn't know that was an option. Like, I did not know that that was a potential option. And, like, I just, I guess I chose lawyering and then later chose YouTubing, and I could have been an international drug kingpin. Maybe I made the wrong choice. So, I mean, I don't get it. The Wedding Criminal Enterprise sourced its cocaine from Colombia, cooking and testing it in cocaine kitchens run collaboratively with a Colombian neo-paramilitary group and drug cartel. The Wedding Criminal Enterprise, working in conjunction with members and associates of prominent Mexican drug cartels, utilized boats and planes to move hundreds of kilograms of cocaine from Colombia to Mexico at a time. The Wedding Criminal Enterprise then used semi-trucks to smuggle the cocaine across the United States-Mexico border. The Southern California counties of Los Angeles, San Bernardino, and Riverside generally served as the hub where the Wedding Criminal Enterprise's cocaine was stored before being conveyed by Canadian drug transportation networks to final destinations in Canada and other American states, with the cocaine predominantly being distributed in Canada. So I'm guessing that if this guy gets arrested, there's going to be some lawyers in Canada who lose their hookup, and not just the cocaine lawyer guy. And also, I feel like if you are trying to avoid getting indicted for your involvement in a multinational cocaine ring, that maybe it's a bad idea, a wee bit of a bad idea, to set your tagline to cocaine lawyer, because I feel like that is a thing that is more likely to result in your eventual conviction. I mean, I could be wrong, but like, it's just like, hey, it's like if you have like jerseys made or some shit. So yeah. All right. Defendant Wedding and Clark engaged in a continuing criminal enterprise as defined by Title 21 United States Code, Section 848C. By the way, please like the stream. Please share it out there if you're so inclined. And how are we doing on that goal? We are at 0 to 10 on that goal. So not great, but we'll keep going here. Every Canadian I've ever shared a lift with on a mountain has asked for a cigarette or drugs. Those two things are a little different. So the purposes of the criminal enterprise. The purposes of the Wedding Criminal Enterprise included, but were not limited to, the following. A, enriching members and associates of the enterprise, including its leaders, through the trafficking of cocaine in Mexico, Colombia, Canada, and the United States, and elsewhere. So basically, they sold cocaine for money. Okay, like that is a thing criminal stuff does. Like that, yes. B, establishing control over the Canadian drug trade. C, preserving, protecting, promoting, and expanding the power of Wedding, Clark, and the Wedding Criminal Enterprise, using intimidation, violence, and threats of violence. D, violently retaliating against 1, rival drug traffickers who challenged defendant Wedding, Clark, and the Wedding Criminal Enterprise's authority and attempted to encroach upon defendant Wedding in the Wedding criminal enterprise's sphere of influence. 2, individuals who had fallen out of favor with Wedding, Clark, and the Wedding criminal enterprise. And 3, individuals who were believed to be cooperating with law enforcement against. We're just going to call it WCE at this point because, yeah. Or just Wedding, because Wedding criminal enterprise is becoming too much of a mouthful. Means and methods of the criminal enterprise. You're probably right, because there's some dishonest going on there. So you may be right there. All right. What is it? So, members and associates of the Wedding criminal enterprise trafficked cocaine to generate revenue for the enterprise. Members and associates promoted a climate of fear through acts of violence and threats to commit acts of violence. Members and associates committed, attempted to commit, conspired to commit, and threatened to commit acts of violence, including murder, to preserve, protect, promote, and expand the Wedding criminal enterprise's drug trafficking operations. And so, yeah, that is basically what organized, things do. So, the criminal enterprise's organizational structure. How did they work? What do they do? They hewed to a traditional hierarchical structure with defendant Wedding and Clark operating at the helm. While residing in Mexico, defendant Wedding and Clark carefully monitored the enterprise's day-to-day criminal activity. Specifically, using Graphene OS cellular phones, shout out to Graphene OS, I guess, they reviewed the enterprise's finances, relayed kill orders, directed cocaine shipments, and otherwise managed the enterprise's daily operations. The enterprise also comprised dispatchers located in Mexico, Canada, and the United States responsible for picking up, storing, and distributing the enterprise's cocaine. Financiers who served as de facto banks for the enterprise's drug proceeds and who obfuscated the source of the funds by investing in high-value items such as luxury cars, watches, jewelry, vehicles, and artwork, and making personal and business-related payments at defendant Wedding and Clark's request. Okay, a lot of these high-value items I wouldn't consider necessarily investments, but because they tend to go down in value, but I mean, the artwork sphere is known to be kind of a hive of money laundering and money and like drug money shit. So, yeah. Sicarios who were recruited and paid by the enterprise for the purpose of murdering perceived rivals, disfavored persons, and supposed cooperators. In addition, the Wedding enterprise contracted with sources of supply in Colombia responsible for manufacturing, testing, and shipping the enterprise's cocaine. So, defendant members and associates of the criminal enterprise. So, Wedding, a Canadian citizen, resident of Mexico, and former Olympic snowboarder. That's a hell of a sentence, right? Was the leader of the Wedding criminal enterprise. Like, literally, this guy is a Olympic snowboarder and drug kingpin. It's weird, right? Defendant Wedding oversaw the enterprise's entire operation and enriched himself with the enterprise's laundered drug proceeds. To eliminate threats and otherwise advance the interests of the Wedding criminal enterprise, defendant Wedding issued orders to murder various individuals, including an order to kill victim A, which resulted in victim A's death, and an order to kill a Canadian TP dispatcher. That's the sort of criminal, that's the drug trafficking dispatcher, and drug trafficking co-conspirator CC1, which led to the deaths of victims B and C and the serious bodily injury of victim D. So, yeah, lots of deaths going around. But now we get to the guy who's on the thumbnail. And why am I focusing on this guy? Well, because he's the lawyer. And you may have noticed a bit of a theme in a lot of my videos and a lot of my discussions. I tend to cover people behaving badly in the Canadian or in the justice system. So that is, I cover sovereign citizens, I cover bad cops, and I certainly cover shitty lawyers. And sometimes those shitty lawyers don't like their coverage, but yeah. So, defendant Paradkar, a dual Indian-Canadian citizen, resident of Canada, and criminal barrister. They mean that both ways, by the way. When they say criminal barrister, they mean he's a lawyer who is a criminal, but they also mean that this guy is a criminal defense lawyer. But this guy is really putting the criminal in criminal lawyer. So, defendant Paradkar advised defendant Wedding and Clark to murder victim A so that they would avoid extradition from Mexico on the criminal charges in Wedding 1. Let's talk about legal ethics. This might surprise some of you. This might be a thing that, like, you guys are unclear on. But it is not within the scope of ethics for a criminal defense lawyer to advise a client to murder a witness. I don't actually know that they covered that in ethics in my law school specifically, because I think they kind of figured it went without saying, but it is actually unethical. So it's also like unlawful and all sorts of other things. So in addition, defendant Paradkar provided and offered to provide defendant Wedding and Clark with, among other things, A, court documents and discovery that they would not otherwise have had access to. So let's talk about this. A lot of the time when you are a criminal defense lawyer in Canada, you get provided with materials, but on the basis of either an explicit or implied undertaking. And so what an undertaking means is that when you are a lawyer and you undertake to do something, it means you promise to do it, and you will you can be punished for not doing it. So for like disclosure materials, those are provided to defense counsel under the implied undertaking that they will be used for only one purpose, which is the full answer and defense of that particular accused for whom the materials are being provided. So if I get a client who, for instance, wants to use their disclosure in a civil trial, like they want to take that disclosure and use it to sue somebody else, they're not allowed to do that. They have to actually get that disclosure through other means. They have to go and say, hey, I'm going to get that through like an access to information request or, something like that, because it's actually restricted as to what kind of use you can use it for. So I can't take that disclosure that I get and do just anything I want with it. I cannot, for example, provide it to another client. I cannot, for example, like broadcast it on the news or give it to a news organization. I am very much limited. And one of the things that that is sort of being alleged here is that this lawyer was not just being a lawyer for his clients, but also, and sort of primarily, that he was actually being a lawyer for Wedding in situations where there was a conflict, where essentially he was acting as a lawyer for the ostensible client, but really he was doing it for the benefit of Wedding. And you'll see what that looks like as we go. But yeah. Wait, so how is Karen Reed's team obtaining the evidence they're planning to use in her lawsuit if they can't use the state's disclosure in her criminal case? I'm talking about the Canadian rules, because this guy is a Canadian lawyer, and they may also get access to things through other means. So, yeah. All right. B, access to enterprise members and associates who are either arrested, indicted, or under investigation through attorneys whose representation defendant Paradkar secured. So, like, you can't go and talk to people and, yeah, you can't, like, go chat with people in prison and, on behalf of somebody else, right? Defendant Ona, a Canadian citizen and resident, was a member and associate of the criminal enterprise. He was a hired sicario who facilitated victim A's murder. Flores, resident and citizen of Colombia, operated a network of commercial sex workers and was a member of the wedding enterprise. She used her network of commercial sex workers, which included defendant Tejeda, to locate victim A in Medellin, Colombia, so that victim A could be murdered. Oh, that's interesting. That is interesting. They apparently tracked this guy down by using like the sex workers. I'm wondering if he went to a sex worker or if they just like kept an eye out for this person. So that is fun. Defendant Riascos, a Colombian citizen and resident and cocaine lab manager, was a member and associate of the wedding enterprise. Defendant Sokolovsky, a Lithuanian-Canadian citizen, resident of Canada, professional poker player. Wait, what? They've got a snowboarder and a professional poker player. Now we're getting interesting. Jeweler and procurer, was a member and associate of the wedding enterprise. Defendant Sokolovsky managed and laundered the wedding enterprise's drug proceeds and acquired luxury items for defendant Wedding and Clark. Defendant Hossein was a member and associate of the wedding criminal enterprise. He managed and laundered the wedding enterprise's drug proceeds. Defendant Canastillo Madrid, a dual citizen of Mexico and the United States and resident of Mexico, was a member and associate of the wedding enterprise. He managed and laundered the wedding enterprise's drug proceeds. Defendant Chapman, a Canadian citizen and resident, was a member and associate of the wedding enterprise. Defendant Chapman paid defendant Ball, the operation of a Canadian urban news outlet, The Dirty News, not to post about defendant Wedding and Clark. So paid some hush money. Interesting. Doesn't look good for defendant for Dirty News to be taking money not to report on things. In addition, defendant Chapman provided defendant Ball with a photograph of victim A and paid him to post the photograph so that victim A could be located and killed. I mean, a news agency can probably take money not to report on something. They definitely can't take money to post a picture to try to track down a person who is being targeted for murder. There's that little place where you cross over from like, this is debatable as to its ethics, and legalities and so forth, versus this is, this is just straight up crime. So, yeah. It's like, yeah, and there's this thing. The papers that post mugshots will accept money not to publish them. A lot of them actually are like this whole scam that does that specifically, where they'll come to you and say, we just got your mugshot. Pay us or we publish it. Not a good idea to pay those. And so, yeah. Defendant Demorizzi, a Canadian citizen and resident, was a member and associate of the wedding enterprise. Attempted to locate victim A through defendant Basora Hernandez so that victim A could be killed. Defendant Zatoun was also a member, attempted to locate victim A in Medellin and Mecca, Saudi Arabia, so that victim A could be killed. They're really trying to track down victim A. Wait, I know this case. I got approached by counsel for one of these guys to be a local counsel in a related prosecution. I passed for obvious reasons. Yeah, I think that this is exactly the kind of shit to pass on. I have passed on working for organized crime as well because it kind of, you never just get the job. You also get kind of a lifestyle with it. And I'm just going to say it's not something I want to buy into, right? Because once you buy into that, you get kind of committed, and yeah, it's not great. Demorizzi and Zatoun should be Star Wars planets. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. So, Defendant Bell, a Canadian citizen and resident, and the founder and operator of the Dirty News, was a member and associate of the enterprise. In exchange for payment, Defendant Bell agreed not to post about Defendant Wedding and Clark and posted a photograph of Victim A so that Victim A could be located and killed. Who? Defendant Basora Hernandez, a Dominican citizen, resident of Canada, and reggaeton artist. We've got all sorts of like random careers and random, whatever's coming in on this one. Was a member and associate of the enterprise. Provided Zamorizi with Victim A's contact information for the purpose of enabling them to locate and kill Victim A. There's a lot of like tracking down Victim A here. A lot of it. Defendant Tejeda, a Colombian citizen with permanent resident status in the United States and commercial sex worker, was a member and associate of the Wedding Enterprise. She provided Wedding and Flores with personal information concerning Victim A so that the Wedding Criminal Enterprise could locate and kill Victim A. Defendant, last name unknown, a motorcyclist, conducted reconnaissance of Victim A by following Victim A to a restaurant in Medellin before Victim A was murdered. So they had a guy on a bike follow him to a restaurant. Defendant 2, a motorcyclist, shot Victim A approximately 5 times in the head while he was eating at the restaurant. I wonder what he was eating. Like, what kind of last meal was he getting? What's a commercial X worker? A commercial sex worker. Like somebody involved in prostitution. So, yeah. Defendant 3, a driver, brought 2 to the restaurant prior to Victim A's murder, and following the murder, met with him at a rendezvous point and further aided him in his flight. So, the getaway driver. Okay. Defendant 4, a photographer, cased the restaurant before Victim A arrived, and following Victim A's murder, photographed his dead body. I guess confirming the kill? Defendant 5, a driver, picked Defendant 4 up from the restaurant after Victim A's murder and assisted in his flight. So another getaway driver. How close are we to that goal there? We are 4 minutes away and two chats away from it. So, yep. Non-defendant members and associates of the criminal enterprise. Clark, a Canadian citizen and resident of Mexico, was the second in command of the Wedding Enterprise. Clark closely directed several of the Enterprise's operations, specifically drug trafficking in Canada and the execution of murders. Okay, that's a thing to put on his CV. Task operations included murders. Clark enriched himself with the Enterprise's laundered drug proceeds. In addition, Clark paid Defendant Ona for his role in Victim A's murder. Clark, along with Wedding, also issued an order to kill CC1 that led to the deaths of victims B and C and the serious bodily injury of D. They're just murdering all sorts of people. Ibragimov, a Canadian citizen and resident. Now, you might be saying, if there's all these Canadians involved in this, why is the United States running this case? Why is the U.S. doing this? And the thing is that ultimately, I'm not upset by it. I'm not upset by it. Why subs only? It shouldn't be on subs only. I'm just checking here. It should. Oh yeah, no, sorry. It probably is on subs only, just to limit spammers for the chat. So, because otherwise you get random wankers posting about all sorts of things. So, here's the thing. If he's convicted in Canada, he's probably going to get a much lighter sentence for this whole enterprise than he would if if he were convicted or in the US. The U.S., if he gets convicted on this, he will get sentenced to like, 17 separate life sentences, and they're gonna like kick his puppy or something. Because, yeah, it's but the process right now, like the lawyer in this case, the cocaine lawyer, they are bringing, and yeah, subscribing is free, so you can hit the button for free, but it does make you wait 5 minutes. And the reason why it's on 5 minutes is because it prevents the spammers and so forth from just going subscribe and then spamming. But so they're going to be bringing extradition proceedings against all of these people, and the extradition proceedings are going to be fought, because if I'm the cocaine lawyer, you better believe I'm fighting my ass off to try not to go to the States to face charges on this. And yeah, it's going to be a big thing. But one of the sort of major factors of extradition is whether or not the things he is alleged to have done would also be a crime in Canada. And the answer to this is yes. Yes. The other thing, and I need a new goal apparently. Okay, new goal. We can do another hot sauce taste test because I have another hot sauce I haven't tried. So the other thing, I was supposed to make it to the post office. I didn't make it to the post office. All right. So the other thing is that Canada is very, very reluctant to extradite in circumstances where there might be the death penalty. And so Canada has frequently refused extradition. And now I have myself a drink. There is precisely 0 cocaine in this drink. So Canada is unlikely to extradite if the death penalty is on the table. So quite often there end up being deals made where Canada's like, we will agree to extradite if you, the United States, agree not to impose the death penalty. Take the death penalty off the table, we'll send you the dude. And there have been lots of those deals. However, and I'm going to get slightly political here. Slightly political. Not a whole lot, but a little minor bit political. The current U.S. administration has not been very good at keeping its promises that it makes to Canada. And so if I am the cocaine lawyer, what I would be arguing, if there is this thing, is I'd be arguing, listen, you shouldn't send me to the U.S. because they might promise not to do death penalty things, but you can't trust them. They might still decide to go and do death penalty things. And the court might actually say, yeah, the U.S. is not trustworthy. We don't trust them. We don't trust their promises. So, we're not going to send him. I think it's a long shot, but I'd certainly argue it. If I was him, I'd be like, yeah, no, we can't believe them. They're totally going to shoot me. We'll see, right? But it's the argument I would make if I was in his shoes, because I wouldn't want to get sent to the U.S. So yeah. All right. So Ibragimov was a dispatcher sent to the Central District of California to pick up cocaine for the enterprise and deliver it to drivers hired to transport the cocaine to Canada. Bonilla, a Canadian citizen and resident of the Southern District of Florida, was a member and associate of the enterprise who tested the purity of the enterprise's cocaine and distributed the enterprise's cocaine in Canada and the United States. So, yeah. I see, did Runkle have Soylent tacos? Runkle had regular tacos. Iriarte, a Colombian citizen and resident of Colombia, was a member of the member and associate of the Enterprise, sent to deliver the Enterprise's cocaine to dispatchers. Jimenez, I think, I might be mispronouncing that, a Mexican citizen and resident of the of California, was a member and associate of the Enterprise, who managed the Enterprise's stash locations, delivered the Enterprise's cocaine to dispatchers, and made bulk cash deliveries in the Central District of California on behalf of the Enterprise. I really, I am in the wrong business because I have never had a bulk cash delivery. Never. Nobody is bulk delivering cash to me. And I'm like, I could have a bulk cash delivery. Like somebody could run a run a truck to me and just be like, all right, here's a truckload of cash. Maybe one day, but yeah, not anytime soon. Hunter Bissonette says, what counts as bulk? 100K? Yeah, if I'm pulling 100K, it's for a hospital. It's not for me. So yeah. So Manderjeet Singh Dillon, a Canadian citizen and resident, was a driver responsible for transporting the Enterprise's cocaine. Dillon was if I say the Enterprise, it sounds like it's Star Trek, but yeah. Dillon was charged in United States versus Dillon relating to his transportation of the cocaine. Ranjot Singh, a Canadian citizen and resident, was a driver responsible for transporting the Enterprise's cocaine. Singh was charged in Dillon relating to his transportation of the cocaine. Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise, whose mission is to deliver cocaine into Canada. Maybe not. Count one. So, grand jury realleges paragraphs 1 through 39 here. Object of the conspiracy. Beginning no later than on or about December 7th, 2011, and continuing until October 28th, 2025 in LA, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties within the Central District of California in the countries of Mexico, Colombia, and Canada. Man, I don't like Canada appearing in that particular sentence. And elsewhere, the defendants, Wedding, Paradkar, everybody else, and others known and unknown conspired to knowingly and intentionally distribute and possess with intent to distribute at least 5 kilograms of a mixture and substance containing a detectable amount of cocaine. You'll see that it's actually way, way more than 5 kilograms that they're alleged to have moved. Like 5 kilos is tiny little amounts for what they're alleged to be up to here. All right. So the object of the conspiracy was to be accomplished in substance as follows. Cocaine trafficking. Wedding would oversee the procurement of cocaine from Colombia. Riascos would manage a cocaine lab in Colombia that would manufacture, test, and ship cocaine for the Enterprise. I'm hearing the theme song. Ooh. What is it? It's Schedule 2. What is the medical use of cocaine? Cocaine is a anesthetic. Cocaine used to be the gold standard anesthetic for eyeballs. It used to be used for eye surgery, but it is an anesthetic. If you buy a topical anesthetic, you might find, for instance, lidocaine, and the cane part is the same stuff, right? It's not a coincidence that like cocaine and lidocaine have very similar things there. So yeah. All right. Numbs the gums good, but dentists don't use it. I mean, I'm guessing some dentists use it, but maybe not in work. Lidocaine is no longer used in the USA. Interesting. I have a bottle of it in my prep stuff in my get home bag. So yeah. Defendant Riascos would manage, that's lidocaine, by the way, which is legal to purchase. And yeah. Defendant Riascos would manage a cocaine lab in Colombia that would manufacture, test, and ship cocaine. Oh, we just read that. Members and associates of the enterprise would import hundreds of kilograms of cocaine at a time, primarily sourced from Colombia into the United States via the United States-Mexico border, and store it in stash houses in the Central District of California, following which they would transport it into Canada and other American states for distribution. I don't like this sentence. Into Canada and other... Canada is not a state. So, yeah. Yeah. And you can see that the path of the cocaine here is from Colombia to Mexico to the United States to Canada. The path is northwards, not southwards. So, laundering of drug proceeds. The wedding enterprise would conceal the significant proceeds of its cocaine sales in US and Canadian dollars and cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies have been huge for crime. I would actually say that crypto, like that Bitcoin and so forth, are primarily backed by criminal use as opposed to anything else. Bitcoin and so forth have very limited roles in conventional commerce. They are very rarely used in the sense of, very rarely, very few people are buying a pizza with cryptocurrency these days. And in fact, famously, one person spent cryptocurrency buying a pizza that is now worth hojillions of dollars. And yeah. So it is just all of those things. So but yeah, crypto is kind of a big thing on that. With respect to the use of cryptocurrencies to obscure the original source of the funds, members and associates would use a sophisticated tether network to, 1, break large amounts of money into smaller transfers, and 2, quickly use intermediary USDT wallets to move funds before ultimately reaching a hub tether wallet controlled by wedding. So basically, the cryptocurrency stuff is, they're sort of laundering it. They're running it through a tumbler. I spent 30 Bitcoin on a pizza back in 2011. I regret it every day. Yeah, no, you bet you'd wish you had that. I think it's like 8 Bitcoin on a hard drive that I will never be able to get access to. I think I've still got the hard drive, but there's no way I'm ever going to get it. So they're just gone. They're toast. And I know they're toast because I spent a substantial chunk of money trying to untoast them, only to be told, nope, you super fucked. So, yeah. With respect to the use of cryptocurrencies we just covered that. Defendants Sokolovsky, Hossein, and Canastilo Madrid, and others known and unknown to the grand jury, would serve members and associates of the wedding enterprise, namely Defendant Wedding and Clark, by concealing their drug trafficking proceeds and by using those proceeds to facilitate and further the objectives of the enterprise. A truncated flowchart illustrating this laundering system is depicted in the diagram below. So this is a diagram of drug trafficking. Yeah. What is it? How did they get toasted? Did you forget the password or the encryption data or what? No. I'm pretty sure I still remember the password. However, the drive failed and there is damage to the drive. The drive itself is encrypted and there's damage to the drive in the key sectors. So in order to encrypt it, you need the encryption key block that's on that drive, and that's fucked. So the only way to get into that drive is to de-encrypt that that drive. And you'd have to do that, like, essentially, if that drive can be decrypted, then Bitcoin will not be worth anything, because in order to get to a point where that could be decrypted, we have to have like broken encryption in a pretty serious way. So yeah, it's gone. It's done. Murders committed in furtherance of the criminal enterprise. Members and associates of the Wedding enterprise would murder individuals whom Wedding and Clark perceived to be a threat to the enterprise's operations. So, fun. So, A, defendant Paradkar and others known and unknown to the grand jury would advise Wedding and Clark that victim A's murder would benefit them by causing the federal indictment against them in Wedding 1 and related extradition proceedings to be dismissed. So basically, the lawyer said there is a key witness, and if that witness is, if that witness just happens to die from murder, then they won't be able to proceed. I'm guessing it's AES encrypted, so even a QC is not going to do it. It's AES and then like two others. It's, yeah, I have it like on the triple cipher thing, and it's gone. Like, it's just gone. There's no like, so yeah, it gone. Defendant Wedding would place a multi-million-dollar bounty on victim A and enlist the services as defendants Flores and Ona to locate and kill victim A. Defendants Ona, Flores, Chapman, De Morizi, and Zatoun, and others known and unknown to the grand jury would attempt to locate victim A so that victim A could be killed. This guy had like this whole dragnet out for him to kill him. Defendants Bal, Basores Hernandez, and Tejeda would provide members of the conspiracy with information and services for the purposes of locating and killing victim A. Some unknown people would stalk him, shoot him, serve as getaway drivers, and then photograph the corpse so that defendant Wedding could circulate the photograph throughout the criminal underworld as a warning. Victims B, C, and D. We've heard about these people, but we didn't actually get the full story, because I see people saying it's like if Running Man were a true story. I haven't seen Running Man, but now I kind of want to, I guess. So defendant Wedding and Clark would issue an order to kill CC1, believing that CC1 had stolen approximately 200 kilograms of cocaine from them. I mean, I guess that's something that you would try to murder somebody about, right? I get it. Clark would enlist the services of a Canadian-based assassin crew to murder CC1. We have assassin crews? So members of the conspiracy would break into a house that victims B, C, and D were renting. And you'll notice that none of these people are CC1. They're just other victims. So it looks like this assassin crew kind of sucks at their job. And kill victims B and C and cause victim D serious bodily injury. They hired an assassin crew who apparently broke into the wrong house. Like, that's one hell of a wrong house situation, right? So overt acts. On or about the date set forth below, all of the people committed the following overt acts in furtherance of this conspiracy. Defendant Paradkar retains legal counsel in Los Angeles County to facilitate defendant Wedding and Clark's monitoring of Ibragimov and Jimenez's cases. So this is interesting to me because it's more of the lawyer behaving some lawyering or doing some lawyering. So on April 9th in Riverside, California, Iriarte met Ibragimov and began transferring boxes filled with approximately 375.1. I was reading that backwards. 375.1 kilograms of cocaine from his car into Ibragimov's no later than on or before May 3rd. Defendant Paradkar arranged for local counsel in Los Angeles County to represent Ibragimov so that Paradkar could monitor Ibragimov's case on behalf of defendant Wedding and Clark. So this local counsel who was hired in Los Angeles County is kind of dirty too, right? This counsel is providing information to Paradkar. You can't be doing that. And when I say you can't be doing that, the number of circumstances where I have had similar requests is so many, but they're not in the organized crime context. The context where this comes up for me, for my scenario, is children. And you might be saying, what do children have to do with organized crime? Well, here's what happens a lot. So you get a kid, and the kid is usually like 16 or something, right? And so this 16-year-old kid is charged with some crime, and it might be minor, like they're charged with like defacing a bus or something stupid like that, or it might be major. They might be charged with like an SA. They might be charged with a they might be charged with having a gun. They might be charged with all sorts of things. A lot of the kids I've represented have been charged with having a gun or using force of some variety. So, but what you get then is you get the parents who come in, and obviously the kid has no money, right? Because the kid is a kid. They got no money. And so what happens is mom and dad come in and they say, okay, we're going to pay the kid's bill. Cool. Great. But then the parent comes in and is like, I want to know what the kid told you in your meeting. And I'm like, oh, right. Because the parents don't get to know that. I've got confidentiality and privilege as with the kid, but not with the parents. And the parents are like, we pay the bills. And I'm like, yeah, cool. That still gets you one of these. Because it doesn't matter who's paying the bills. My duty is owed to the client. And whoever pays the bills, you just, yeah. So it can be tough to explain to parents, like, hey, I know you're you're all hot to trot and all bothered about this one, but it doesn't matter, right? You don't get to know this. You don't get the answers that you want. And it can, like, some parents get really, really pissed off. I had one parent who said, well, we're not paying the bills anymore. Like, we're not paying you anymore. And you know what really pissed them off? I really pissed this parent off because they were like, hey, well, if you won't tell us what's going on with our son, we're not going to pay the bills. And I'm like, all right, then I'll just do the file for free. Fuck you. And they were like, what do you mean you'll do it for free? And I'm like, I'll do it for free because fuck you. You don't get to manipulate me like that. And it really, really pissed them off. But, that's the thing. That's the ethical responsibility. So the local council there absolutely should not be providing information to Paradkar, even if he's paying the bills. So, yeah. On August 1st, Jimenez possessed approximately 201 kilograms. I like how it's approximately, but they have 201 kilograms of a mixture and substance containing a detectable amount of cocaine that belonged to the enterprise in a car parked outside of a residence in Moreno Valley, California. On August 2nd, via Threema and using coded language. I don't know Threema, but yeah. Clark asked defendant Paradkar to pay $5,000 to obtain Jimenez's arrest report. Why do they want the arrest report? Can anybody guess why they want the arrest report for Jimenez? Anyone? I'm not seeing it in chat, but there is a chat delay. The reason why they want the arrest report for Jimenez is to see if he talked. Was he listed as being cooperative? Does he say, like, because if he goes in and says, hey, I know you arrested me for having 200 kilos of coke, but I can get you so many more kilos of coke than that. I can get you some big names. I can get you some big fish. They want to know that, right? They want to know if he's providing that information. And yeah, so that's kind of a big deal. So on August 2nd, via email, he contacted local counsel in LA County and requested information about the case. On August 2nd and August 5th, via Threema, defendant Pradkar sent screenshots of email correspondence with local counsel regarding Jimenez's case to Clark. So Threema is an encrypted chat program. Oh, right. I think I do know this one. But essentially, they are very much trying to like pin all this down. And it seems likely that they actually got a hold of a bunch of phones in this, right? In order to actually, in order to back this up, because some of this stuff is like, how do you get the content of these encrypted messages? Well, probably by, probably by actually having all of this. So, yeah, I'm guessing they got some phones, and then they, like, because your encryption doesn't do you a whole lot of good if somebody's actually got your phone, typically. All right. October 1st, defendant Pradkar, that's the cocaine lawyer. Defendant cocaine lawyer facilitates Wedding and Clark's monitoring of two drivers' cases in Arkansas following their arrests. So, overt acts number 1. October 1st, Dillon and Singh possessed approximately 521.159 kilograms. 521.159 approximately. Okay. You've got it down to 3 decimal places, but you're saying approximately. Kilograms of a mixture and substance containing a detectable amount of cocaine that belonged to the enterprise in 2 cars that they were driving in Hazen, Arkansas. And these boxes are kind of interesting, because the boxes, like, you can see this one. I don't know if you can see it very well, but you can see this box, and it's got a bulldog cartoon on the package. And then you can also see that same bulldog in the second picture. But I'm just going to, like, expand in. They also have Tony the Tiger on this. The Frosted Flakes. And they have Carl. This is a thing of Carl from The Simpsons, where Homer goes into his house and he's like, please don't tell anyone I live like this. It's a Simpsons image. And I'm like, what? What are you doing? So, yeah. All right. On October 1st, via Threema and using coded language, defendant Wedding informed Clark that cocaine belonging to the Wedding enterprise had been seized by law enforcement in Arkansas. So, hey, 2 of our, like, drivers got, got picked up, right? So on October 1st, via Threema, defendant Wedding sent Dylan's name to Clark. Hey, here's the guy. On October 1st, via Threema and using coded language, Clark asked defendant Wedding if defendant Wedding wanted Paradkar, the cocaine lawyer, to monitor Dylan and Singh's arrests, and defendant Wedding responded affirmatively, suggesting that an American lawyer be used to obfuscate cocaine lawyers' involvement. So they're like, we got to figure this out. So over at Act number 12, on October 1st, Clark created a Threema group chat titled 911 Arkansas, without the second S. Arkansas. Okay. Oh, yes, it's Lenny. Right, my bad. It's Lenny, not Carl. I haven't watched Simpsons in like 2 decades. Including defendant cocaine lawyer and a co-conspirator. In October 1st, in the Threema group chat, defendant cocaine lawyer asked the co-conspirator to provide the 2 drivers' names and driver's licenses. On October 1st, in the Threema group chat, the co-conspirator provided the names, following which the cocaine lawyer stated that he would look into it and asked if there were any relatives he could contact. Why do you think they want to talk to the relatives? Why do you think they want to talk to Yeah. They want to talk to relatives so that they have some leverage. They have some ability to manipulate or the like. Yeah, that is bad, right? On October 1st, in the Threema group chat using coded language, defendant cocaine lawyer advised that he was calling law enforcement to obtain information about the arrests. On October 1st, in the Threema group chat using coded language, defendant cocaine lawyer advised that he located Singh, who was in prison, but could not ascertain Dylan's whereabouts. They're still trying to track him down. On October 1st, in the Threema group chat, defendant cocaine lawyer directed the person to send him the number of Singh's brother and to tell Singh's brother that he was Singh's lawyer so that he could get Singh's arrest report. On or about October 2nd, cocaine lawyer called Singh and asked him questions relating to his arrest, while Clark covertly listened in. This is another big, no. Because you've got the lawyer-client having a conversation with the drug boss secretly on the call, secretly listening in. I mean, if you're wondering, like, does confidentiality and privilege allow that? The answer is, holy fuck, no. It's very much no. So this is, like, you can see that the lawyer here is behaving incredibly badly. He's not behaving in a lawyerly fashion. And somebody says, I want to get back to the snowboarder. Well, we might. I mean, there's going to be more about snowboarder, but the snowboarder hasn't been caught yet. And so they're focusing on the people they do have rather than the people they don't, I think. So on October 3rd, on the Threema group chat, Clark and CC2 discussed murdering Dylan, following which cocaine lawyer advised them to discuss the matter on a different chat without him present and to delete any and all discussion of the murder plot. They're like, we could murder him. And he's like, guys, I'm still here. Can you discuss the murder without me? And, yeah, like, please leave me out of the actual murder planning. The problem, of course, is that once he becomes aware of the murder plot, he has an ethical obligation. And that ethical obligation is to report the murder plot. So, yeah. Now, I mean, that is, we're just adding to the ethical problems here, right? There's so many ethical issues here. You can't just, like, dibs out on a murder plot. You got to actually report that. Act number 20. On October 5th, using coded language on Threema, Wedding advised Clark that he and Clark needed to know what Dylan had to say. So on October 5th, defendant cocaine lawyer sent Clark discovery related to Dylan and Singh's arrest. So basically, they're trying to figure out, do we want to kill this guy? Is he talking? Is this guy somebody who's blabbing that we need to have murdered? So on October 6th, via WhatsApp and using coded language, cocaine lawyer and Clark discussed questions for cocaine lawyer to ask Dylan, following which defendant cocaine lawyer deleted the messages and turned on WhatsApp disappearing messages. So again, they are planning all this out. And Elf Wiggins says, wait, is there going to be a taint team here? There's going to have to be, because they're going to go and get cocaine lawyers everything. And like, cocaine lawyer was in the middle of representing a serial killer or an accused serial killer. So that case is clearly going to get blown up, right? That case is going to get adjourned because can you imagine? You're sitting there and he's representing an alleged serial killer, and they're like, my client needs a new lawyer because the old one turns out to be involved in murders. It's like, well, nobody saw that shit coming. But yeah, that's a whole circus. That's a whole bizarre thing. And but they're going to have people reviewing his, text messages and the contents of his cell phone and all of that. But they're going to have to exclude everything relating to all of his other clients, all of his other files who had nothing to do with this, right? So that's going to be a whole big, complicated clusterfuck of a, clusterfuck of a thing. So, yeah. All right. What is it? Yeah, we'll have to see on all of that. But okay, so what do you call it? Let's sort of figure all that out and go from there. But yeah. So on October 6th, defendant cocaine lawyer called Dylan and asked him questions relating to his arrest while Clark covertly listened in. Again, not cool, especially because there's a clear conflict of interest here, right? They've got the calling Dylan and asking him questions. And the purpose of all of that is for, the purpose for all of that is just for, potentially murdering the person. Your lawyer should not be sitting here going and like contemplating murdering you, right? So we'll see there. So it's bizarre. Yeah. So, all right. Your lawyer has an ethical obligation to be in your corner, right? To be on your side. And they should not be like trying to plan your death. This bothers me so much. I had multiple hits take out on me during the 6-year-long Fed case I was a witness of. As a person who may have had a hit put out on them as well, that is not something I like. So, yeah. September 11th. Defendant cocaine lawyer sends Clark discovery relating to a homicide defendant Wedding and Clark ordered in Caledon, Ontario. So defendant Wedding and Clark issued an order to kill a driver who they believe stole 300 kilograms of cocaine from them. On November 20th, members of the conspiracy broke into a rental property in Caledon inhabited by victims B, C, and D. Members of the conspiracy shot and killed victims B and C and shot and wounded victim D, mistakenly believing that they were CC1's family members. When people ask, like, hey, what do you need to be able to defend yourself in your house for? It's like, well, on the off chance that you are being targeted by a hit team who has the wrong fucking address, right? Like, yeah. On September 11th, via Threema, defendant cocaine lawyer sent Clark screenshots of evidence obtained by the Ontario Provincial Police during its investigation of the shootings of victims B, C, and D. And they're probably like, none of these people are the people we wanted to kill. So, yeah. October 15th, people participate in a plot to murder victim A in Medellin. Between August 15th and September 6th, using victim A as an intermediary, defendant Wedding purchased 300 kilograms of cocaine to be shipped from Colombia to Mexico. In September 2024, defendant Riascos received an order for 300 kilograms of cocaine from Wedding through an intermediary. How do you just place an order for 300 kilograms of cocaine? Like, is that on Skip the Dishes? Can I DoorDash myself 300 kilos of cocaine? So on September 9th, during an in-person meeting in Cali, Colombia, defendants Riasco stated that the cocaine order would be in production soon. On September 11th, Riascos received approximately 2 billion Colombian pesos. I think that's what that is, COP, which had been converted from cryptocurrency as payment from the approximately 300 kilograms of cocaine. 2 billion pesos. Okay. On or before, what does that convert to in real monies that I am familiar with? Like, I know pesos are real monies, but like, what does that convert to? On or before September 26th, defendant Riascos initiated a shipment of approximately 240 bricks containing cocaine, including those depicted below. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? So this one is wrapped in black plastic and has a picture of a fucking snowflake on it. And this other one has the word snow molded into it. I don't know if you can see this on your screen, but it has the word snow molded into it. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? They're just like boasting about their shit here. There's not even any effort to hide it. It's just like, all right, what's in this? It's cocaine. Why don't you just put cocaine on it? So between September 25th and September 26th, members of the conspiracy possessed with intent to distribute approximately 240 bricks containing cocaine as depicted below. And you can see there's a picture of all of the cocaine. I don't know who took the picture. I guess this would have been law enforcement taking the picture of the cocaine. Yeah, that looks like a law enforcement banner. This looks like they got that, and yeah. And then there is the cocaine snowflake on it. So on or after October 17th, defendant cocaine lawyer advised defendant Wedding and Clark that if victim A was killed, the charges against them in Wedding 1 and related extradition proceedings would necessarily be dismissed. They're like, you got to kill this guy. He is the key witness. On or after October 17th, defendant Wedding placed a bounty of up to $5 million US on victim A in exchange for any person locating and killing victim A. All right, that's a lot of money. 5 million, $5 million bucks. I'm just gonna say, if somebody put a $5 million bounty on me, I'd be like, well, shit, I'm screwed. On or after October 17th, defendant Wedding enlisted defendants Ohana and Flores' assistance in locating A so that victim A could be killed. On November 5th, via Instagram, so this hit plot involves Insta. Getting hitmen on the Insta. Okay. I did not expect Instagram to enter the chat, but here we go. On November 5th, via Instagram, defendant Bal posted a story depicting victim A, accompanied by the following text. This guy single-handedly rat out one of the strongest underworld networks that this world has seen. Good chance he'll never be found again. So they put word out that he is a, that he's a rat. On November 5th, via Instagram, defendant Bal posted a story depicting a photograph of victim A and a significant other, accompanied by screenshots of text messages from Chapman that called victim A a snitch and sought victim A's location for the purpose of killing victim A. That's a good question. What do you do if clients show up for court with drugs on or in them? If they show up with drugs on them, then I make them get rid of those drugs. Like, you cannot have drugs in the courtroom, in the courthouse. Like, go flush that shit, or like get rid of it, or leave. And you can't have that here. Drugs in them is distressingly common. Like, the number of clients I've had show up who are high, and that is a whole thing. Hope the prosecutor doesn't suggest a drug test. They can't drug test my client without like a good basis for it. I mean, I have had circumstances where it was clear my client was on drugs, and I know it. The Crown knows it. The judge probably knows it, but they still can't drug test the client because they don't have a warrant for it. They don't have any like basis to demand it. So, we just, yeah. But I mean, I've had clients who were just flying off. I've had to adjourn trials because my client showed up either high on drugs, or in some cases, the worst thing, even worse than the client showing up high on drugs, can be your client showing up not on drugs. So there's a thing that happens with clients. You'll get a client who is like massively addicted to heroin or something like that. And they're like, I'm going to be good for court. I'm going to be a good client for court. You know what they do? They go cold turkey and they show up for court, and they're detoxing on like off of meth or heroin or whatever else. And they show up and they are so fucked up by the withdrawal that I've had clients like projectile vomit in the courtroom. I've had clients who I've had clients hallucinating. I had to send a client home at one point because he was literally seeing shit. And I was like, you've got to go and like get your shit together. And so I had to tell the court, I was like, I sent my client home. And the judge is like, Mr. Runkle, you do not get to send your client home without my authority. And I was like, yeah, he needed drugs or he was going to die. Or needed alcohol or he was going to die, because alcohol can actually be even worse than quitting off of heroin or meth or whatever, because alcohol can be surprisingly lethal to quit suddenly. So, yep. When I explained to the judge that my client was so fucked up that he was not able to function, the court was like, okay, I get it, but you should still ask me permission first. I was actually really tempted to like take my client to the liquor store and be like, you've got to drink something because you're going to die, but then get your ass to the ER. Yeah. It was bad. And the good news is client lived. I was worried because I was worried they might die, but nope, client lived. And that client I'm thinking of actually has, when last I heard, they had been off drugs for, I think it was like 3 years, and they got clean. So I hope they stay that way, but it can be a battle, and it can be relapses, and the other thing is that sometimes people get off drugs, and what you discover is that they might not be all that nice people at the end of it. Although I didn't actually know this person well enough to make that conclusion, but I've seen that where sometimes you get people who get clean and they're like, oh, that's just your personality. That was never the drugs. Oh, that's unfortunate. So, in October, Chapman paid Ball approximately 10,000 Canadian not to post about defendant Wedding and Clark, and instead to post about victim A, so that Enterprise members and associates could locate and kill victim A. I really want to see this trial, and I want to see I want to see what was said, right? I want to see what the deal was there. On or before November 20th, ONA enlisted defendant de Morizi to contact defendant Basora Hernandez and obtain victim A's cell phone number. Who requested victim A's contact information from defendant Basora Hernandez so that members and associates of the Enterprise could locate and kill victim A. They're sort of closing in, and yeah. On or before November 20th, defendant Basora Hernandez provided defendant de Morizi with victim A's cell phone number and email address in exchange for between approximately $500 and $1,000 Canadian. Wow. That is cheap overall. Although I've seen like a lot of assassinations and so forth happen for very little. So yeah. Just be aware. Like, and the thing is that most assassinations aren't like professional assassins. They are some random douche with a meth addiction who gets paid, and often the payment for these like assassinations and so forth is in debt forgiveness. So you get somebody who owes like, 10,000 to their drug dealer, and the dealer is like, hey, I'll forgive half your debt if you, if you go whack somebody. And people get desperate. People get, and it's actually kind of striking just how, how cheap some of those things go for. So, overt act number 3. In November, defendant Ona obtained identifying information for an associate of victim A's from victim A's close friend, CC3, in exchange for defendant Wedding financing CC3's cosmetic surgery. So victim A's friends sold him out for some sort of cosmetic surgery, and there's a really good chance that it was like a pair of... And can you imagine you're getting sold out by like a close friend of yours for a new set of boobs? Like, yeah. Purple Dragonair, here's the super chat to celebrate the fact that I'm almost 11 years sober. Good for you. I got sober back in January of 2015, and it's truly been a jury. Good for you. Good for you. Why is it that we keep seeing like assassination plots? Because this is like the second assassination plot that we've seen that involved payment in boobs or something similar, like payment in cosmetic surgery. Because like that also shows up in the Adelson trial. Why are people getting paid in tits? I don't get it. All right. Like it's... Why is the world such a weird ass place? Like, stop it, world. Be normal. Be normal for 5 minutes. In November, defendant Ona provided defendant Wedding with the identifying information regarding victim A's associate, and defendant Wedding provided it to Flores. In November, via WhatsApp, defendant Flores sent defendant Tejeda a photograph of victim A's associate and asked defendant Tejeda to confirm the associate's identity and to provide the associate's personal information, which defendant Tejeda did. By the way, the other thing you should think about if you're ever thinking about, hey, I want to cooperate with some sort of assassination plot, is that there is a very real chance that, like, you got to figure, let's say the assassins promise you $500,000 or something like that, right? In this case, the bounty was $5 million. You got to wonder, though, would they rather pay you, or would it be more efficient for them to just shoot you, like have somebody shoot you for $4 million, and then they have somebody shoot that guy for $3 million, and on down to like somebody who's going to do it for $10 and a pack of gum. So I'm like, I would be very concerned that I would never see the 5 million and that instead I would get shot. So yeah. On November 5th, via WhatsApp, defendant Flores sent defendant Tejeda a photograph of victim A and asked if defendant Tejeda knew victim A, to which defendant Tejeda responded that she did not. On or after November 5th, Wedding and Flores asked defendant Tejeda to travel to Colombia to lure victim A to a location to be killed in exchange for payment of defendant Tejeda's mortgage and corrective cosmetic surgery. Okay, when they say corrective, I'm wondering if there was like some sort of scars or maybe some sort of teeth issue or something where they're like, we're going to fix up your appearance. All right. I'm wondering what that cosmetic surgery was, because it sounds like it's not, sounds like it might not be gazongas. It sounds like it might be something else, and maybe something a little more tragic. I see David Price's lawyer used to drive a yellow Lamborghini to Brampton Court. I'm guessing that Lamborghini is probably going to get sold to pay some legal bills and broken nose or something. Yeah. On or before December 3rd, defendant Basora Hernandez informed defendant de Morizi that Canadian law enforcement approached him to discuss victim A. So on or before December 3rd, defendant Wedding, under the guise of being an attorney, facilitated a phone conversation with defendant Basora Hernandez and defendant cocaine lawyer, during which defendant Basora Hernandez told them that Canadian law enforcement approached him seeking victim A's whereabouts. So Canadian law enforcement is also looking for this dude, and it turns out the criminals get to him first. So not a great look for Canadian law enforcement. Canadian law enforcement gets to the witness second. That's not great. So in or before December 2024, defendant Wedding paid approximately $18,500 for an on-device interception tool to be employed on victim A's cellular phone so that victim A could be located and killed. They're hiring a hacker. And the super chats are not registering with the goal. Oh, that's not good. I will try the hot sauce anyway. I see the goal ended at 2 out of 10. We'll try another goal, see how it goes. Sometimes you have to click the goal button in order for it to register properly. So, all right. In January 2025, Clark hired defendant Zatoun to locate victim A for approximately 10,000 Canadian plus expenses. Plus expenses, okay. In January 2025, now, here's the thing. The reason why they had a hard time finding this guy to kill him is because the victim A was not an ostrich. If victim A was an ostrich, they would have had this guy pinned down and done. I'm being salty. I'm being snarky. In January 2025, on orders from defendant Wedding and Clark, defendant Zatoun traveled from Medellin and Mecca to locate victim A. In January 2025, while defendant Zatoun was in Mecca, Clark offered defendant Zatoun the contract to kill victim A, which he declined. He's like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't do the killing myself." In January 2020, I mean, I guess that's a good thing. Following his trip to Mecca, defendant Zatoun received approximately 40,000 Canadian for attempting to locate victim A. I mean, good for them, I guess. They paid him out even though he didn't find the dude. They're like, all right, we're paying you for work done. We appreciate it. And cool. On January 29th, via Threema, defendant Wedding sent Clark surveillance footage of victim A and his associate. So they are tracking this guy down a little further. On January 31st, prior to the murder, they cased the restaurant. So I guess they knew that this was a restaurant that he's going to regularly. And I mean, I'm just going to say, if you happen to be a person that has a hit out on you, if they are trying to, trying to murder you, it's probably a good idea not to have like a regular place, right? Not to be a regular at any particular space. I would probably not be eating at the same restaurant twice in a row or just twice, period. So, but they were able to case the restaurant, figure out what the restaurant looks like. And yeah. Can I do a Logan Paul update on my stream? Probably. I did see that there was a dismissal, but also a refiling. So the media was very much misrepresenting what was happening in the Logan Paul case. And I mean, that shit happens. So yeah. On January 31st, the unknown person followed victim A on a motorcycle to the restaurant prior to his murder. So they've got a guy who just like watches him and keeps eyes on him. And then another person gets dropped off, enters the restaurant, approaches the table where victim A was eating, and shot him approximately 5 times in the head, killing victim A. So he died of natural causes. And when I say natural causes, I mean it is natural to die when you're shot 5 times in the head. Yeah. On January 31st, he fled from the restaurant on a motorcycle and met with the third person at a rendezvous point, at which point he abandoned the motorcycle and continued his escape in the car. So he does a vehicle change. They photographed the dead body, and after they photographed the corpse, he gets picked up and they flee from the murder scene using the same route as the others. That's a bad idea if you're just trying to, yeah. So on January 31st, via Threema, he was informed that victim A was dead and he was sent the picture. So Wedding and Clark. Wedding, of course, being the snowboarder. This is all like surprisingly well planned. Most assassinations that you see, like most hitmen hiring, is not well planned. It just goes down like, somebody just walks up to them on the street and shoots them in the back of the head and then doesn't know where to go and gets arrested like 4 blocks away. Right? It's, yeah. So on January 31st, via Instagram, again, Insta, defendant Bal posted a story depicting a photograph of the restaurant and the bottom part of a body lying on the ground and a caption that read, "Victim A down," and boom, headshot. Okay. On January 31st, via Instagram, Bal posted a photograph depicting a screenshot of a Colombian news report on victim A's murder, accompanied with the following caption. One of the informants involved in dismantling Ryan Snowboarder, aka SB, Wedding's transnational organization / criminal network, has been assassinated in Colombia. As soon as the world learned who SB was, USA and Canada investigations gone public via media releases, there were bounties being placed on every individual involved in snitching on the Kingpin's operations. Some of these bounties were being reported as 7-figure hits. It turns out they got victim A in Colombia. He got hit with a sniper while sitting at a restaurant. It sounds like he didn't get hit with a sniper. He got hit with a handgun. So the criminal underworld will always find you. The world isn't big enough to hide. So overt act number 66. On or after January 31st, 2025, via Threema, defendant Wedding facilitated an approximately $500,000 U.S. payment to members of the conspiracy in Colombia. On or after January 31st, Ona contacted Clark and requested approximately $300,000 as payment for facilitating victim A's murder. And they said, pay the guy. He's like, hey, I helped. I want $300,000. And Wedding is like, pay the man. All right. I mean, I guess for a shitbird, he's, for like a criminal villain, he's actually kind of like, he's actually kind of following up on his promises. It's weird. On or after January 31st, defendant Ona received approximately 150,000 Canadian and 30 kilograms of cocaine as payment for facilitating victim A's murder. So I guess he had one hell of a party. On or after January 31st, 2025, defendant Sokolovsky made a bejeweled necklace for defendant Ona as a reward for his role in victim A's murder. He's getting bling, like trophy bling. Laundering of drug proceeds. Between September 28th and May 28th, defendant Sokolovsky received in his KuCoin account approximately $20 million from a Tether wallet controlled by a member of the conspiracy. So my Bitcoin address is posted on lots of my, on lots of these things. And nobody has yet sent me $20 million. I think somebody sent me like $5. Somebody was like, you have to have your Bitcoin address in your thing. And then they sent me like $5. And I was like, okay. Between May 29th and August 15th, defendant Hussein received in his Tether wallet approximately 48 million US from a Tether wallet controlled by a member of the conspiracy. I don't have 48 million either. Somebody's like, how would you know? Would we know if you're involved in organized crime? It's like, well, you'd see signs. I wouldn't be sitting here going, hey, hit that goal. Speaking of which, the goal is at 1 out of 10. So yeah. All right. Between May 29th and August 14th, a member of the conspiracy used a Tether wallet to send approximately $8 million to defendant Sokolovsky's KuCoin account. Between May 29th and August 12th, defendant Sokolovsky used his KuCoin account to send approximately nearly $10 million to a Tether wallet controlled by a member of the conspiracy. Defendant Hussein used his Tether wallets to send approximately $3 million to one of his defendant Castanilo Madrid's Tron wallets. Between April 29th, they used a Tether wallet to send approximately 98.86% of its total funds. Stop saying fucking approximately when it's this exact, right? That is approximately $207 million to Wedding's Tether wallet. So Wedding gets $207 million. Bonilla transferred approximately $17,000. Wow, now $17,000 seems like very little money after we've been seeing all the like millions and whatever. It's like, oh, just 17,000 to settle a drug debt with defendant Wedding and Clark. Defendant Castanilla Madrid received approximately $500,000 to her 2 Tron wallets. Defendant Castanilla Madrid received approximately $640,000 to her 2 Tron wallets. Defendant Wedding provided victim A, who was acting as an intermediary, with approximately $564,000 US to purchase approximately 300 kilograms of cocaine. So defendant A made $500,000, and then, yeah. So, all right. Overt Act 81. Sokolovsky used his KuCoin account to send approximately $96,000. And then Castellino Madrid received approximately $3 million US. And yeah, so there's a lot of money rolling around on this. A lot of cash rolling around on this. This is crazy. And again, I'm like, how the hell does a snowboarder end up in all of this? Like, I want to know, I want to see the movie, and I want to see the origin story, right? I want to see the origin story of like how this guy goes from snowboarding to international cocaine dealer, right? I'm just like, yeah. And I mean, cocaine lawyer, I'm just like, wow, you were making some choices. I'm just like, did you not watch Better Call Saul? Did you not see how that ends? So, object of the conspiracy, beginning no later than on or about December 7th and continuing on till October 28th. All of the defendants conspired with each other to knowingly and intentionally export from the United States at least 5 kilograms of a mixtured substance containing a detectable amount of cocaine in violation of the law. So, overt acts in furtherance of the conspiracy. A lot of this is probably going to be detail. Oh, they say including the acts set forth in paragraph 43 of this indictment. Cool. Thank you for not repeating all of the stuff. I appreciate that. The grand jury realleges paragraphs 1 through 39. Thank God. So hopefully we're going to get new stuff. Conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute at least 5 kilograms of cocaine or mixture thereof. Conspiracy to export for the United States at least 5 kilograms of cocaine or, cut cocaine. All right. And conspiracy to kill people. Realleges all of the above. What do they say? Conspiracy to possess cocaine, conspiracy to export cocaine, conspiracy to kill victim A. Count 5. Objects of the conspiracy. Is there anything new here? Oh, yes. They conspired to knowingly and intentionally kill victim A to A, prevent the attendance and testimony of victim A in an official proceeding, i.e., they killed him. So, in lawyering, you will often, clients will often ask, what happens if somebody doesn't show up? And the thing is that most clients are asking this because they know that witnesses often just fail to show up. They often just fail to attend. But they're like, what happens if this person doesn't show up? I had a client who was asking that because the person who they robbed, they robbed somebody, but the person who they robbed was a fentanyl addict, and they were like, what if this person overdoses? And I'm like, you cannot arrange that. They're like, oh, no, I'm not talking about arranging anything. I'm just talking about they do a lot of fent. They might die. And I was like, okay. Just so long as you're not planning anything. So they have these questions, right? And the thing is whether or not a witness is pivotal to the prosecution's case will depend on the case. And one thing that can happen is sometimes, I've told clients, I'm like, for God's sakes, you want this person alive, because if they're alive, I can cross-examine them. But if they're dead, their testimony is just going to go in, their statement's just going to go in. And, so lawyers become aware of like what'll happen if somebody doesn't show, what'll happen if they do show. And, yeah. That's, the whole, joys of all of that. But, you can never advise a client, like, go kill this person. And you don't want to even hint at it, right? It's like, for fuck's sakes. And the thing is like, killing witnesses is usually stupid. And I'll explain why. Like, you're potentially looking at a jail sentence for, drug trafficking. And you might be looking at 8 years. Okay. So, now you're like, well, what if this person dies? It's like, then you're going to get life, dude. Like, don't trade an 8-year bit for a life sentence. It's so freaking idiotic. And so, but yeah, I mean, most of the time you'll get domestic violence clients as well who are like, what happens if this person doesn't show up? And I'm like, stop talking to her. I wasn't talking to her. Stop fucking talking to her. And I'm like, I know you're talking to her because otherwise you wouldn't be talking like this because she's considering whether or not to not show up because you're fucking talking to her. Stop talking to her. Right? Like, just don't. And yeah, domestic violence clients kind of suck for a lot of reasons. So yeah. So yeah. B, prevent the communication by victim A to a law enforcement officer and judge of the United States of information relating to the commission and possible commission of a federal offense. So, yeah. Maisie says, for everyone's favorite Sir Stroming loving sauna shopping solicitor. Thank you so much. I am trying to figure out the sauna options, but yeah. That reminds me, I got to ask Mrs. Runkle about the sauna, like whether she'd be down with a sauna tent. So, yeah. What is it? Yeah, we'll figure all that out. All right. So, let's see. Manner and means of the conspiracy. The objects of the conspiracy were to be accomplished in substance through the manner and means set forth above. Okay. Overt acts. What else did they do? What else? All right. Just all of the stuff above. Cool. Count 6. Each aiding and abetting the others knowingly and intentionally killed victim A and willfully caused victim A to be killed in order to prevent the attendance and testimony of victim A in an official proceeding. All of these, by the way, are super serious charges. Like, these are all like, go to jail for the rest of your life, or, or potentially, like, get killed kinds of charges. So, yeah, we'll figure all that out. All right. Let's see. Sorry, just responding to things. So, all right. Grand jury alleges paragraphs 1 through 39. The objects of the conspiracy.
Conspiracy.
We gotta go there. So yeah. Beginning no later than on or about October 17th and continuing until on or about January 31st in LA, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties within the Central District of California, conspired to knowingly and intentionally kill victim A to retaliate against victim A for the attendance. So, one of those charges was to prevent victim A from testifying. The other is to punish the person for testifying. And you might be saying, what's the difference? Well, the difference is that they have separate laws for all of these different things. And the reason why they have separate laws is that they want to make sure everything is covered. But if you do both, then they will charge you with both. And if they're not sure which one it is, they will charge you with both because, like charge both, and then the jury can figure out which one it is, or if it's both of them, and that's how they go. So, yeah. All right. On or about the date set forth below, and furtherance the conspiracy and to achieve its objects, they did all of the stuff above. I suspect we're just going to see a lot of all of the stuff above. Caused him to be killed, to retaliate against him for attending, and yeah, count 9, objects of the conspiracy. Knowingly and intentionally conduct financial transactions affecting interstate commerce. So, it's kind of funny because there's all these laws that get triggered when you have interstate commerce. And the thing is that interstate shit used to be a big deal, right? It used to be a whole big thing to have interstate commerce, because it used to be that interstate was like something special or something unusual or something, different or whatever. And the thing is that now it's not. It's very difficult to not involve interstate shit nowadays, because like your bank is in another state, your everything is in another state, and so like everything is interstate. It's everything is interstate. So now, I mean, this one is actually like interstate because it's like from Colombia to whatever, but yeah. All right. So carrying on here, I'm just trying to see, I'm looking at all trying to figure all these things out. All right. So which property was in fact the proceeds of specified unlawful activity? I.e., if you get money from drug dealing, it is super tainted. How do you know U.S. law so well as a Canadian lawyer? I read like a motherfucker. So when I have an issue, I read the fuck out of things. So yeah. Did I miss the hot sauce tasting? No, we will do that. So for your information, extra life pals, I've successfully used Scooter asks where is God as a catchphrase this week. Or twice this week. Nice. Well, so A, to knowingly and intentionally transport, transmit, transfer a monetary instrument and funds from a place in the United States to and through a place outside the United States, and to a place in the United States from and through a place outside the United States. So internationally, yeah. What is it? Do we have Friday Night Frenzy tomorrow or adult supervision? Tomorrow I cannot do either because I am going to be heading out to the woods. I've got to actually get my shit together to head out to the woods. But so I can't do either. But I don't know if Rob is doing either. So we'll just have to figure that out. I'm afraid I can't answer that question offhand. All right, carrying on a bit here, we've got knowingly and intentionally transport, transmit, and transfer a monetary instrument or funds from a place inside. So international money transfers, basically. What is it? There are famously cases that were strictly interstate non-commerce that were judged to be interstate commerce. Uncivil Kurt is still mad about it. He should be mad about it because, Wickard v. Filburn, growing your own wheat for your own consumption affects interstate commerce because you're not buying wheat from another state, which is like, what the fuck, right? Like, how is it that it's like specifically? So the U.S. seems to have arranged it that specifically not interstate commercing is actually interstate commerce because you could instead have interstate commerce if you chose to. And I'm like, this makes no sense to me. Like that you end up in a world where the more you do to not interstate commerce, the more it's fucking interstate commerce. Like, how does this make any goddamn sense? But the world is a weird ass place, and all of these laws are weird ass, and yeah, I don't get it. So the world is strange. So manner and means of the conspiracy, as above. Defendant wedding. So this is specifically with respect to the snowboarder. With respect to the snowboarder, what is he alleged to have done? Okay. He was released from a term of imprisonment for within 15 years of the commencement of the offenses. Oh, is this like a kicker thing where he gets sentenced to more if he does something within release periods? Oh, it's a sentencing allegation. So yes, this is basically just for if he's convicted, there is an addition to the sentencing because he was like just recently released on another crime, right? So because of that, that puts him at a risk of a higher penalty, right? They're like, we're going to punish you harder because you just got out. And I mean, I get it. I see it. It makes sense to me. I get it. So fair ball. All right. Forfeiture allegations. Now, this is where things get additionally fun because they're like, not only do we want you in jail, but we also want your shit. And there's a lot of money in civil and criminal asset forfeiture, especially when you've got a person like this, where it's like, we want all of your shit, we want all of the money, and we are going to we're going to keep all of your stuff. So sometimes you get cases where they're like, hey, we've seized this drug dealer, and what is it? Bring a bag to the woods and get some Canadian rocks to sell. Not even joking. We love the rocks. The rocks are probably under snow right now, so I don't know if I can get the rocks out from under the snow. All right. So, notice is hereby given that the United States of America will seek forfeiture as part of any sentence. So, in the event of their conviction. So, for all property, real or personal, that are proceeds from which the defendant obtained directly or indirectly from such offense. Now, the cocaine lawyer, somebody in the chat said that the cocaine lawyer has a, like yellow Lambo. The government's going to be like, that's going to be our Lambo. We want that. Like, give that to us. So that is absolutely going to be something that they try to claim. The government will be like, and the government tends to take a very broad interpretation of what it means for something to be, obtained as part of the offense. So one of the things that they are likely to do is they're likely to say, well, any of this stuff is obtained partially through the commission of the offense. And because of that, we're going to say that everything is part of the offense. So, you put $50,000 towards this $2 million property, which is not actually a big property. Correction, 2 Lamborghini plus 3 Maseratis. I'm just going to tell you, I drive a Civic. I drive a Civic. So, if you're wondering, is Runkle dealing drugs? The answer to that is no, because drive a Civic. Yeah. All right, carrying on here. So they want basically all of their stuff. All right, title and interest in any property. All right, title and interest in any firearm and ammunition used. To the extent such property is not available for forfeiture, they want money equal to the total value. And if they're convicted, they shall forfeit substitute property. If any of the property cannot be located upon the exercise of due diligence, has been transferred, sold to, or deposited with the third party, or has been placed beyond the jurisdiction of the court, or been substantially diminished in value, or commingled with other property. They're like, yep, we... Now, the thing is I can't even buy this guy's second-hand Maserati. So, forfeiture allegation 2. They're just going to ask for all the same shit. We just saw that. Forfeiture allegation 3. So basically for each count, they're saying we want all the stuff. And yeah. So this is a big deal. That lawyer is fucked. That snowboarder hasn't been caught yet. So that snowboarder is is still out and about. And yes. Yeah, so that is a whole weird thing. Yeah, so all right, let's what is it? Cocaine lawyer is a running joke, butt of many jokes around Brampton, Mississauga, and Toronto courtrooms. I reached out to like 3 or 4 different Toronto or like Brampton area lawyers, being like, does somebody want to comment on this guy? Does somebody who works with him want to comment on them? And you know what they said? All of them said, hey, Runkle, appreciate you reaching out. Appreciate the thought, but oh my God, no. And I get it, because the Law Society typically has opinions about lawyers talking shit about other lawyers. But I'm like, dude is fucked. So, I mean, I suspect that the Law Society is going to have him suspended. If they haven't already, it's coming like in the next few days. And because, you know, when you're in this kind of shit, yeah. So it's that lawyer's in some serious doo-doo. And I mean, we'll see. Do they actually track down the snowboarder? Do they find him or not? Because right now, I mean, I've seen people saying, like, cover the snowboarder. Well, the snowboarder isn't arrested yet. He's not covered yet. So, but I'm thinking I want to, what is it? I'm thinking I kind of want to cover this case. So I'm going to try to see about covering this case. So yeah, we'll see. The extradition proceedings are going to be very difficult, if possible at all, to cover. And the reason why that is because Canada is very locked down. They don't actually like broadcast their court proceedings or any of that. And like Brampton is the other end of the country from me. But I'm going to try to see what I can do about covering it. It's a weird case. Like cocaine lawyer, cocaine bear. And yeah. Char Anderson, does covering a case like this scare you at all for your personal safety? I mean, not really. If they, what do you call it? If they threaten me or whatever, I mean, these are probably not the kind of people who threaten. They're the kind of people who just like shoot instead of threatening. But if they threaten me, then okay. I mean, at the end of the day, the worst case scenario is they just kill me, and all right. So I don't think that they're going to be like focused on me, but I mean, it wouldn't be the first death threat I've gotten for doing coverage. And at some point, I guess I'll apply for a carry permit because I mean, I'm starting to collect death threats, so maybe we'll see. Let's go through super chats. There's not a huge number of them, but this was a fun case, so not yeah. Nicole, thank you for becoming a member. Much appreciated. Joe, is cocaine lawyer like cocaine bear? Worse. A girl named Joey. Yay, another Runko live. Good to see you. Okay, ladies, choose cocaine lawyer or cocaine bear. In this case, choose the bear. Lifetime hack, just to be known alternatively as AKA, so the legal papers say aka aka, and you cannot be charged due to legal confusion. They'd figure it out. They'd work around it. Drug kingpins have to be good at math. Fuck, I'm out. I'm done. Patty P, thank you so much. Random unbranded commenter. So Rackets is no longer the cocaine lawyer. Noted. No comment. Living like a cat. Bottoms up for the goal. Thank you. Joey W. Wedding Criminal Enterprise sounds like a Vegas quickie venue. The one without the Elvis, I've been told. Yeah. That, yeah. I could see Lawyer Elf doing something illegal. I couldn't see Lawyer Elf doing something illegal like this. The movie about this is going to be interesting for sure. I really want to see the movie about this. So yeah, I really want to see this. I want to find out the details. So Lilacs and Chocolate. Blow is a biopic that explained how George Young became a coke smuggler. The best thing is it stars Johnny Depp and Paul Rubens. Oh, that's an interesting combination. Johnny Depp and Paul Rubens. Okay. I may have to watch that. Congrats on your fundraiser. The fundraiser, huge success. I was blown away. And next year, I'm going to set my goal. My goal for next year's fundraiser, just so you all know, is I'm going to take 500,000 US and I'm going to subtract whatever we've raised as a lifetime. And so the goal is going to be, can we get me to a 500,000 lifetime fundraise for the Stollery? Because, yeah. Ted Johnson, yep, congrats on the fundraiser. Thank you so much. Mispronounced name. If you get a disclosure and then make a freedom of information request and the government claims it doesn't exist, can you use that disclosure to show otherwise? I think you could just say, we know it exists. Come on. So, yeah. Have a drink. Cheers. Cheers. Todd Johnson, these folks have such cool sounding jobs. There's a lot of weird jobs in this. Honk Banana, no, fine, drink your drink, but I'm having one too, and it's your fault. You explain it to Mrs. Banana. Okay. You need to have the auction earlier in the day next time. Fair. I'm gonna I moved the auction a little later because of Yannetti and Alessi coming on, and I didn't want to sort of have them sitting there watching the auction. But yeah, I'll figure it out next time. And I keep saying that, but that's not true. Cheers. Cheers. I don't see the problem here. It's right in the title, criminal defense lawyer. He's more dedicated to the crimes part than the rest of you. Fair. None left to boldly blow what no one else has blown before. Josh Glover, that hard drive could be the next challenge for Joe Grand. He hacked time to break into a Bitcoin wallet on a locked smartphone. Could be fun to try. I don't think it's possible because with the key destroyed, there isn't really a good way to validate the data. It's just gone, right? The key sector is gone. So it's not a matter of guessing the password. It's a matter of guessing the entire key, right? So bring on the hot sauce. Thank you. Tough Cookie, thank you for 10 gifted memberships. Much appreciated. Morgan says, hey, Ian, can you tell me what brand of security camera you have? Eufy. EUFY. You said at least once before, but I lost it. Looking to expand my security system. EUFY is the brand. I get no money from them. So, yeah. Sorry to be late. See you on replay later. This is seed money to help defray your mailing costs for auctioned items. Oh, that's going to be expensive, but a lot of people this year are sending things direct, so we'll figure that out. Asking for a friend. Does Canada have a RICO law? Not in the same way as the U.S. RICO law. So the Miss Monty, thank you so much. Was Deviant able to make the stream? I fell asleep. He did not. He was busy, so didn't make it. So, Michigan Farm Boy, gold contribution. It's crazy to hear about Miami Vice crap going on in real life. Yep. Casper's Room says, drink. Thank you. Hit that goal. Thank you. Elf Wiggins says, being responsible and going to bed. Replay crew for the rest. I am not being responsible. Jet J, thank you so much. I suggest maybe holding full or smaller auction chunks as it were, instead of one long auction, and let us know about roughly time you're thinking of so people can try to be in chat at that time. That is a better plan. I just got to do that. So yeah. Deviant Olaf. Yes, that is exactly who we're talking about there. If you live in Michigan and do commerce with Quebec and only Quebec, crossing no borders other than the Canadian border, interstate commerce, I don't know, but I suspect yes. So yeah. Rocks under snow, evidentiary leaf blower. I don't actually own a leaf blower. Okay, Maisie, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Much appreciated. Marmar says your laugh is the best. Makes me happy to hear it. I'm glad that it does. Is there another fundraiser? I think we're done for the year, and we're gonna try again. There's gonna be another one next year. You can still donate. You can still donate, and like that still runs to the end of the year. But yeah. Deviant is awesome. I've seen him on Modern Rogue. Deviant is awesome. He's a cool guy. He's all of those things. So yeah. Right. And I also have to, I've got a PayPal message I got to read as well. So I got to log in there, which is a pain in the butt, but I will do it. All right. If it'll load, which it's not loading, that might have to wait because, that much snow and you don't have a leaf blower. I don't have a leaf blower. I've got a snow blower, but the snow blower I need to fix. So the problem with the snow blower is that I left it for a year with gas in it, and I gotta take it and clean out the carburetor and all of that, and I haven't. So it's sat for multiple years, and I gotta go do that and figure all that out. So yeah. And Joloy says great fun stream last night, so I missed that, and yeah. So all right. I think there's that should KPT says that should pay for a drink to finish the goal last time. And Lynn Bailey's was a while back. So all right. So I think that rounds everything out. How do you uncover things in the snow without a leaf blower? I don't. Generally, if something's under the snow, it can stay under the snow. I'm just going to say, if there's something under the snow, yeah, most of the stuff that's under the snow right now in my backyard is dog poop. And I don't feel any need to uncover that. We can deal with that in the spring. Oh, right, hot sauce. I have another hot sauce I got to try. So this is how I brought them back from, from the U.S. is in a plastic bag in case they broke, wrapped in foam so that hopefully they wouldn't break. And yeah. So this one is the sweet and spicy ghost pepper hot sauce, and it is marked as hot at the bottom. So, and let's try to open this. Got a knife out. I got to get ready for going out to the woods. That's going to be an adventure. Got to make sure all of my shit is packed up. Maybe I'll throw it into totes or something so that it's ready to go. Yeah. I also got to deal with some birds. That is its own thing. So I got to go on an adventure. I got to do work basically after this. So here we go. I didn't go to Buc-ee's. Somebody else went to Buc-ee's and got me some hot sauces. And yeah. All right. Now, I don't have anything to properly do a taste test with, so we're just going to use this metal fork. as a sauce vector. Metal fork. All right. Here we go. All right. So we got the fork sauced. So it is quite sweet. It does have a spice kick afterwards. I'm just trying to think of what it compares to. And I'm going to try some without the fork just in case. So this is kind of like a I don't want to say teriyaki. What's the sauce? Like the sweet. It's kind of like a plum sauce, maybe. Somebody says, was that a cocaine spoon? No, that's actually this thing. I got this thing as like, you go to conventions and people hand out like branded shit. And most of the branded shit you get is kind of useless. And this is actually something I have found to be quite useful. So what it has in it is a little tiny fork, little miniature fork, and a little tiny knife with also like a hex wrench attachment and a thing. And I have actually eaten in a number of hotels with little tiny fork and little tiny knife. I've actually found this to be super useful. So this is actually one of the few pieces of like convention cruft that I've actually used for things. So yeah. The bottle opener, by the way, is crap on that thing because the bottle opener is positioned such that you have to like grab the blade in order to make it work. But yeah, I throw that into my luggage and it actually works pretty well. I quite like it. So, all right. So I think that's all the super chats covered. Let's wrap things up and I will see you guys maybe Monday. Good night, all.